Well, we made it to Showdown number 2, the second one in the history of this game mode in UFL, after a 15-win weekend last weekend, which was admittedly pretty easy. It wasn't very good matchmaking. They seem to have fixed that, which is awesome news. However, that's about where the awesome news ends because this weekend in Showdown, to summarize, it was lag. That's literally it. LAG lag. It was a lag fest, whether it was a server issue. A lot of people are saying there's a handicap now, and maybe it was a poor attempt at a handicap because there was just nonsense for a vast majority of the games. Not all of them. It actually started off fine. Wasn't much lag at all, if any. But then after a few games, it became one game after another, and just total nonsense the entire time. You'll see through these highlights, you could probably start to tell when the lag gets going. And how you can tell is players don't jump for corners on offense. On defense, your players don't challenge the attackers on headers. They have free headers. Goalkeepers start making goofy decisions. Passes, you can tell they're delayed. You might even try to overcompensate after a pass doesn't register and then ends up going in a different direction. Actually gave up a winning goal on that to Mbappe. I was going to play a through ball because of the delay. My attacker ran offside, so I switched to move to the middle, move the cursor to the middle to play instead of my winger play Ronaldo. It went backwards, and I ended up playing Mbappe in on a through ball. He scores, I lose 1-0. So there was tons of nonsense like that, where delay, lag, whatever you want to call it, affected the game. And the reason why that's so frustrating is because, when you commit your time and effort into anything, and then what's essentially, has nothing to do with skill, something totally out of your control, takes away from the competitiveness, takes away from the skill gap. Um, the rage absolutely came out this weekend, probably ill warranted, but many times I was blaming the opponent, just because it comes off sometimes in. I'm probably wrong about this, but it comes off sometimes like they know the situation. Like, hey, I don't have much skill, but this game's super laggy. What I'm going to do is try to utilize this almost like a glitch. And you can kind of see by how the opponent plays when you're in certain situations that at least it comes off like it's on purpose. Maybe it totally isn't. And there's absolutely situations where I made mistakes, could have made better decisions, and I kind of mixed it in with the issues caused from the lag or delay or whatever. There's no doubt about that. By no means am I saying I was perfect all weekend, and if it wasn't for the lag, I would have went 15-0. No, but ending with 7 wins, wow, that was definitely not in the plans. And I would have happily taken it if it was competitive games and I just got beat by the better teams, or maybe tight games where the opponent, got me on a bad mistake or something. But there was just so many situations. Like I said, the through ball that I had the ball playing it through to my winger because of the delay. I switch it to my striker. Somehow it goes backwards, total opposite direction. Since his Mbappe on a through ball and I lose, like that's insane. I possess the ball late in the game, give him a through ball and score because of whatever is going on with the server. I mean, I can't believe the ball went backwards. Other situations, Ederson easily should have caught a ball. Instead, it bounces off of him. Um, Whatever caused that, who knows? And then his player gets it and scores. Not being able to switch to the defender on what would have been an easy tackle. And you kind of see my player switching going crazy. Well, that's because I was trying to get it to register and trying to catch up. And each time I was trying to correct, it was like overcorrecting. And meanwhile, his players just jogging right through what would have been an easy tackle and scoring a goal. So these kind of things happened over and over and over. And eventually it gets to the point where I would say it was as close to becoming unplayable as it could be, without actually me putting down the controller and saying, okay, this isn't worth it. I kept fighting through, and there was actually some games where I did fight through and got the result. There's other draws where I know it would have easily been a win without some of the nonsense from the lag. But unfortunately, as you know in Showdown, it's 5 losses and you're out. Well, the losses definitely started piling up, especially against these better teams. Uh, you just can't afford to have. You see there on that header, for instance, perfect timing, perfect jumping, boom, heads it in. You'll see later in some of these highlights, you might have already even seen some of them. I've been more just talking and letting the highlights play than paying attention. But when the game's laggy, you can tell because on those kind of situations, Ronaldo or whoever won't even go up for the headers. It will literally just bounce across, or it will kind of bounce off him to where it's like if he would have just jumped in and reacted, he would have scored. But instead, it just kind of trickles by, no movement from the attackers, and same with on the defensive side. You easily have a header won, and your player just stands there as his player heads it in. Sometimes I've seen it where the opponent doesn't even jump. Your defender is just standing there, just like frozen, and what I can only account that for being from lag, from not registering the button I pressed. Um, Same, I'm sure if you played EAFC, you know what I'm talking about, where you can't even do simple build-up play because you go to pass the ball. However, a chip pass, a chip through ball, just a regular press with X, a driven pass, whatever it may be, and you press a button, it doesn't register. So then you press it again. Next thing you know, it finally registers, and now when it gets to the player, it now registers your second pass button you pressed. And now, boom, you pass it to the other team, all because of the delay. Or you try to press the pass button, it delays, and their defender is able to, move, adjust, and intercept the pass in a situation where they wouldn't have without delay. And I could go on and on. Like I said, if you played EAFC, you know what I'm talking about. Um, I definitely had situations where I probably ill warranted blame the opponent just because it does come off sometimes like the opponent knows, almost like they're using it as a cheat. What I mean by that is when there's delay and there's certain plays where the way the opponent reacts to the delay, it's as if they know that they're not going to beat you outright. They're going to utilize this to gain an advantage, and I guess you can't be mad at that. Maybe it was a one-off for them too, and they just utilized it because it's part of the game. They didn't do it, but nonetheless, the rage was there for sure. I'm a competitor, no different in real life. When you lose, you're definitely not happy. You're definitely a lot of times making excuses, and there's no doubt that there was mistakes I made that I chalked up to lag, and uh, so I'm not saying that I wasn't without fault for some of the things this weekend too, whether I realized it in the moment or not. And there's no doubt in my mind too that the opponent could have 100% not even known what was going on. It's just in your head at the time. You're angry because these things are happening. You're trying to compete, and you blame your opponent. But this was one of those games. If you watch this is a perfect example. There was a good goal, but there was lag in this game terribly. You see here, I steal the ball. My defender runs wrong direction, right back into a striker. Well, what happened there was I committed the tackle, but was going back not knowing that I was going to win the ball there. But then once I won the ball, right, it registers my previous movement. So now I won the ball, the attacker is done for. Instead, my center back turns right back into him. He gets the ball back from me. He ends up scoring. You seen on the second goal, he runs through 3 defenders. That's an easy tackle. Well, that was a situation. If you looked at all the player switching going crazy, it's because I tried to switch to the defender to win the tackle, and it just wasn't registering. Then I'm overcompensating, and that's why you've seen all the players switching going crazy. And I ended up losing that game 2-1. I worked out a great goal at the start of the game. Again, who knows how many more I might have scored without lag, but I can tell you for sure, and if you go back and watch those two goals, there's no way I'm giving those up. I mean, go back through that yellow team that I played there, lost 2-1. You go back and look at those two goals. On the first one, I won the ball outright, turned right back into the attacker, and gave it to him. So that's obvious that that was not how, that's not normal. And then on the second one, I mean, you just pause and you see there's three defenders perfectly there. There's no skill moves done. And that's the part where, like I said, perfect example where it's like, does the opponent know? Because he had no attempt to try to avoid my defenders. He just dribbled by him as if he knew that I wasn't going to be able to control my defenders. I don't know how that's possible. I'm not saying it is, but you watch it for yourself. Tell me if I'm crazy or not. Maybe it was just a lack of skill on his part, and due to the delay, he got rewarded for the lack of skill because I couldn't do anything at all. You might as well just took my defenders away there and had them be on a breakaway because I couldn't switch. I couldn't player switch. So you see another nonsense goal here. Ball deflects right to Ederson. Easy catch for him. It hits off of him. Literally hits off of his hands there instead of him catching it. So then it bounces out. The opponent crosses it back in. Holland scores. What's that about? It literally bounces off Ederson's hands. These kind of glitches you see in a lot of the EAFC things, kind of explaining what's wrong with the game, explaining some of the things that happened during bad gameplay. And unfortunately, this was as close as I got to those nightmare instances in EAFC. So, am I giving up on the game? No, because this is the first consistently negative day I've had. What I mean by that is I had some glitches, some errors in this game, which I've stated before. The game's not going to be perfect. I know that. I chalk it up to it's a new game, and it happens in games sometimes. You see there, I have a routine ball that's won by Marquinhos, and instead of playing it back to my keeper, he does a little dink and gives Mbappe an easy opportunity to run by Ederson. Not to mention, once I saw the mistake by Marquinhos and I saw the big touches from Mbappe, I pulled Ederson out. You see there, he was delayed on coming out. So not one mistake, but two. I mean, an easy win in a tie game, an easy aerial win for Marquinhos turns into me giving Mbappe a breakaway. Similar to earlier in a different game where the game's tied and the ball goes in the wrong direction. I have the ball, I play their player on a through ball in. So these aren't just 50-50s or, you say it's lag, but that was... No, these are clear issues. Ederson not catching the ball. Marquinhos winning it. A ball that 99% of the time goes straight to the keeper when you trail it. Instead just flops down, bounces a couple times right in the path of the opponent. These things are as annoying as it gets. I mean, that's an understatement, but you have two choices. You can walk away and quit, or you can keep grinding, and I'm going to keep grinding. I'm not going to give up on the game. I'll have a daily grind video later where you'll see I bounce right back into divisions. I had a rocky start there. I actually matched a player that I played in Showdown, and it was another lag fest. But after that game, though, the next few weren't lag at all. Weren't laggy at all. They were excellent. So I don't know what the situation is. Is it just certain players because of their location, because of the server? Is it truly a handicap like I'm seeing all over? The only reason I don't want to believe that is because it's not like my players just played lower skilled, like they took skill points away to make it even. It was literally like it was button delay. So if that's their attempt at handicap, they did an awful job. I'm almost certain it has to be something with the server or whatever it could be. I just hope it doesn't continue like this, because once or twice or a few errors here and there is fine. When you get into game after game after game, especially in a game mode where you're competing in 5 losses and you're out, I mean, that's going to get old quick, right? Because at what point does it become not worth it? So with that being said, I didn't even get a chance to look. I saw at the beginning what the top rewards were, and I guess arrogantly thought, oh, I'll see them once I get there with the wins based on last week. But only ended up with 7 this week. So it was a terrible weekend, to say the least, as far as Showdown goes. And I did not get to see if the reward increase was good enough or not. Definitely the matchmaking, that was a positive because last week was way too easy. They definitely needed to fix the matchmaking. It looks like they did, so that was a positive. But it was just a lag fest, a ton of nonsense issues all weekend. Sorry, all weekend, all game after game, because I finished in one day, so it wasn't. It was game after game. So with that being said, we're going to give this a chance to iron itself out. Maybe it was just the opponents I was matching based on their location, like I said. Who knows? Not giving up on the game by any means. We'll just get back to it, move past it, and try to work on getting to Ruby 1. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. If nothing else, hopefully if you're experiencing some of the same issues, hopefully you realize you're not alone. And in my opinion, the best thing to do is just keep grinding on, move past it. If you know it was out of your control, um, you know that you could have easily competed or maybe would have won or at least tied without some of these issues, well then you know what's facts, and that's better than not having the skill to win or to get the results. So all you can do is move on from there and know that if it's in your control, you're fine. If things like this happen with servers or handicap or whatever, well, it is what it is. So that's kind of how I dealt with it and how I deal with it in these situations, even back when I played FC. The question will be, is it going to be consistently like this? Or was this a one-off thing or something they can fix? That's where the big question lies, and I have faith in UFL based on everything so far. Hopefully, whatever caused all this nonsense this weekend, it's a one-off type of thing. That's all we can hope for. So, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. See you later.